Hi, welcome to another episode of All the Things. My gosh, my computer case is just all kind of in glittery. The shot. Yes, and glittery. Welcome to All the Things. I am Monique Dusan.
And I'm Krista Bontrager. And this is the show.
Well, normally you say, and I am Krista Bontrager, also known as Theology Mom,
yeah.
Which would then cue me to say, and this is the show where we talk about all things related to God, the Bible, and real life.
Yeah.
See, she's just coming from me. You guys, it's Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Saturday. And this is our last show of the season.
Can you believe that we've done this little rodeo for 5 years?
That's craziness.
In the beginning, she didn't even know where to look.
I don't even think that we've done it. Has it been 5 years? Because I came home in 2018. So when did we start? 2019?
We started in
19, 20,
April
21,
or March
22,
of 2019.
23. You guys, it has been a long time.
And the thing is that people didn't know that in the beginning, you were still like trying to figure out critical race theory.
What do you mean?
Like you didn't. You and I still weren't ideologically completely on the same page.
No, people. If you really want to know the truth, what this was a hoodwink and bamboozle so that we could talk to guests that agreed with Krista and disagree with me so that I could learn something. Oh,
you will learn today.
You guys should
about a Christian worldview.
No, you should go back and watch. No, please don't go back and watch them early shows because we look a mess.
She didn't know where to look.
But I just had an attitude most of the time. I was just sitting there.
Oh my gosh.
It was fun. Tonight's show is live, so please share the show. Give us a like or a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe bell.
Yes.
Share the show with a friend. And tonight's show
or an enemy.
Or hey, I'm all about that life. Okay? You send it out to an enemy. Tonight's show is brought to you by Theology Mom, the Center for Biblical Unity, Family 210 Clothing, and Impact 360.
That's right. And so we are live. So you can put those questions in the chat and we will
You guys
answer them.
Okay, let me tell you what this is from because she's having her own moment. So there is this, it was a Saturday Night Live. My mom didn't let me watch Saturday Night Live, okay?
I'm a lot older than you.
So I don't really know much about Saturday Night Live. But there was an episode with this guy that she just showed me like 2 weeks ago. And he is sitting at his computer, which apparently, because this guy has a bad personality, apparently, his computer and workstation is in the copy room. So then the people come in and he's like, oh, making a copy, Billster, making a copy. And I was like, what is this? This is how she talks all the time.
Anyone my age
if you wonder what is wrong with me,
the Billinator, the Billster, making a copy.
This is how she talks. So I walk into the office and let's say she's already there. The Moster.
Getting the Mosters. Making a copy. Just coming in late.
First of all, I'm not late. Second of all, if you can please pray for me. Extend a hand. Touch and agree. Because this is what I deal with on the daily.
Oh my God.
So tonight's show is
we're back to the cue sheets. Okay, be serious.
No, I mean, you can still be at the copy machine if you would like. I'm going to be over here with the people. Tonight's show is an Ask Us Anything. And so a couple weeks ago, we said, hey, for our season finale, we are going to just be here with you as family. You can send in your questions. If you did not submit a question, we got a few questions in. If you did not submit a question, feel free to type your question in the chat. Our moderator tonight is Miss Haley. And hi, Haley. I thought you said it was Haley.
It's Allison and Elaine.
I thought you said it was Haley.
Well, she was a maybe. She has all those kids.
She doesn't have all those kids. Oh my gosh, you guys. She's just willy-nilly tonight.
Oh no, she is on the chat.
Haley has not a lot of kids, but she does have a very cute baby. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to say her name because it's public.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, you guys, this baby and all of this hair. My goodness.
Oh, Seth is asking, will we get Kelly Ski on? I've had Kelly Ski on the Theology Mom podcast. If you go back on my channel and search for the Education Mega episode, and Kelly and I have been having a lot of back and forth about getting her back on to talk about more topics.
Well, I think we should do it on CFBU. Yeah, because I like Kelly.
All the things.
Yes. What was your favorite show or guest this year?
Funny you should ask. We have a list
with the question. It's so weird.
The Bontragerster, yes, making theology, yes.
That is, how do you know this? We're the same age. Like, I don't understand. Were your parents letting you watch? What was the name of that show?
Saturday
Night Live. Maybe I was the only one.
I was like in high school when that skit was big, and we would say it all the time at school. And
I was 6.
I know. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So favorite show. What was it? We started off this year with the
Carl
show.
Truman, Uncle Carl.
Yeah. And we did the show on Black History Month with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Doug Gruteis on.
Talking about standpoint epistemology.
Nancy Piercy was on.
Auntie Nancy.
Talking about her new book that's done remarkably well.
Yeah. I wrote an endorsement on that book.
I know.
Dude, I was like, remember when I didn't even know who she was? So Nancy, so in the beginning, Nancy Piercy did a tweet about the Center for Biblical Unity, and I think she mentioned my name. And I was on my way upstairs. This is still when I lived here in the house. And Krista was like, oh my gosh, Nancy Piercy just tweeted about you. Now, I didn't even have... The
ministry was 5 minutes old.
I didn't even have a Twitter account, okay?
No, you did, because that was how she had tagged you.
Oh, okay. So she made my Twitter account, okay? This is why it is the real Monique D. I would never call myself the real Monique D. But she was so shocked, and I was like, that's so nice. And I just kept walking. And she was like, come here. You do not know who Nancy Pierce is. And I was like, no, I don't. I thought she was somebody from church. Come to find out, she's one of the smartest women to ever walk the planet Earth. Here we are.
It's like a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah. Then we skipped down a few weeks. We had Brett on.
Oh yeah, the house church episode. You and I did a couple episodes together.
So
reparations was a big one.
When we talk about, you know what? I think that episode was not my favorite episode, but we've received a lot of.
Boy, I had to talk her into it.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
That was a hard sell on my part. I'm like, I am not publishing a chapter on reparations until we have a public conversation and I get some feedback. And then I did go back and rework pretty big parts of that chapter after the show. It was very helpful.
That was the biggest fight we've ever had, I think. That one, ooh, man. That
was the biggest fight we've had in a while.
Yeah, in a while. Yeah. But I think I'm kind of tied. So I think the conversation with Dr. Felder on Christianity in Africa and slaves coming over as Christians, some slaves actually arriving in America as Christians. That was, well, we didn't actually go down that far of a road, but we did talk about Christianity in Africa before slavery. So I thought that was a really helpful episode. But
Seth said he enjoyed the one we did on AI and Chat GPT. That was a good one. I did that one with Joe Miller and
Jeff Swearing. I really appreciated the house church episode just because I love our church so much. And I thought it was so cool to talk about just like our personal community.
Allison said that you didn't know who Carl Truman was, though, either.
Allison, are we doing that today? Okay.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. No, I didn't know who Uncle Carl was either. I was sitting at a conference with Elisa Childers, and she like elbowed me and was like, Monique, that's Carl Truman. You've got to go say hi.
Go introduce yourself.
And I'm like, why? Like, why do I need to know him? Who is he? And she was like, oh my gosh. And then she put her hand in her head and was just like, oh my gosh. And I don't
know what to do with you.
I don't know. But I think one of the cool things about, and this I don't mean this in a prideful way, but one of the cool things about just being me, like that didn't come out right, but is that I don't know a lot of these people. I don't, this is going to sound really bad, but I just don't care. Like I never am like starstruck or things like that. And so it's just like, oh, this is who this person is and this is what they've done. So let's go talk to them because they're a human. They put their pants on one leg at a time and they probably fall over when they put on their underwear. We all are in the same boat, people. Okay,
that's quite a visual we got going there.
You know when you trying to put them just kind of tilted aside. You know,
I don't know how does Thaddeus feel about that.
So it's kind of like I love that people are just people.
People have been so gracious and kind to us.
Yes,
such favor. All right, let's get into some questions here.
What did you never answer to Allison's question?
Oh, what was about my favorite show?
Father.
There were so many good ones this year. I really am super happy we got Juan Riesco on from Nini's Deli. Mm-hmm. I have been trying to work on that one for a while. We finally got Vishal on. I have been trying to get him for a couple of years. And so that was fun to be able to talk to him. We finally got Christopher Yuan on the show.
Yes.
That was neat. I really liked the series we did in October on human trafficking and like doing one concentrated topic, but coming at it from different angles. Yeah. I learned a ton doing that series. Hopefully people are catching those on the replay because that was very educational. The whole season was just, I felt like very strong. And there were a lot of weeks when we were like, I don't know what we're going to do, but the Lord just kind of kept providing.
Thank you for your grace.
Like the show we did with Han Cho on affirmative action, that was such a last minute scramble getting him on the show, but it worked out really well. And we made a friend and he's going to be in our upcoming videos that we're doing for our curriculum. Yeah. So that was great. So, all right, let's do a question here. Natalie's got a great question for you, Monique.
How do you know it's for me?
Because I read it. Dork. It's on YouTube. Do people ever accuse Monique of being brainwashed by her white friend?
Funny you ask. Yeah, that they do.
We do get that from time to time.
We actually got it. I got it a couple months ago on a call. And I actually posted about it on my page, on my personal page, which is pretty open and public, my response was, Petty Mo shows up. But my response was, and I'm going to probably not say all of it, but it was in the vein of, it's funny how your racism shows up. That you would think that because I'm Black, I simply cannot speak or think for myself. Mm. And I mean, if you think that I'm brainwashed and you feel the boldness to be able to tell me that I'm brainwashed, I feel the boldness to be able to tell you that you're participating in your racism and that you honestly don't think that a Black person can think for themselves.
So yes,
that was a fun conversation.
The topic has come up. Haley's asking the best books you both read this year. Always looking for more suggestions for my to be read pile.
Best book, hands down, that I read was James Sire, The Universe Next Door.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you're doing a series on that book with our friend, Dr.
Joe Miller.
Yeah.
Yes, we just completed last Tuesday. This airs, or it's live on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook. We just talked about Eastern pantheistic monism and the New Age. And so come and join us. If you have not read James Sire's book, The Universe Next Door, I definitely say read it. It is something that I believe every Christian should read.
I think for me, I read so many books for my doctoral program, but I don't really choose the books. So I don't know. Like, I've read a lot of books this year. I can't say that one has really, like, I love this. Everybody should read it. It's so important. I don't know. Nothing's coming to me.
I would say two more. Would be Thaddeus Williams' book, Don't Follow Your Heart. Mm-hmm. Not just because he's on our academic advisory council and he's a board member, but we don't follow our heart. I actually had a conversation. My 12-year-old nephew's with me yesterday and today. And we were in Target and I wanted to buy something and I was debating and he was like, well, just go with your heart. Follow your heart. And I was like, no, we don't want to follow our heart. And it opened up a good conversation. But thinking about, like, when do we follow our heart? Should we ever follow our heart? So I think that's a good one. And then Neil Shinvey and Pat Sawyer's book, Critical Dilemma. Very, very good.
Very good book. Yes. Yeah. So Catherine said she enjoyed the recent show we did with Kevin Briggins. I'm assuming that was the family meeting.
Yeah, the one on Thursday.
Yeah, that we did about the war. Seth said he enjoyed the one with Sam Say on Christian nationalism.
Mm-hmm. You know what, guys? I did want to follow up with you on that. I did reach out to
Stephen Wolf.
Stephen Wolf, thank you. And
who had come on the stream.
Yeah, he came on the stream and he corrected us about something. I was like, that's cool. Like, just going based on what I read in your book, this is what it says. And so
it seemed like your position.
Yeah. It was what it said.
Yeah.
So, I felt like it seems like your position is probably a more fair way to say it. So then I was like, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you. And I put my email in there where he could reach me in the chat. And then I actually reached out to him via email. Never heard anything back. So in case you were wondering whatever happened with that, that's what happened.
All right, let's do one of the questions. Some people wrote in questions. So let's do one of those. I've got them on my computer here. All right, this is from our friend Janelle. She says, this is a question I've been thinking about for a while. The phrase people of color is the new politically, ideologically, culturally, and racially acceptable term for those with more melanin than others. How does this phrase differ from the phrase colored people? Why is it okay to use one, not the other? To me, it sounds like a distinction without a difference. I would really appreciate your thoughts.
Oh.
So people of color versus colored people.
Versus ordinary people. That's just a song in my head. So the term colored coming from maybe mid 1900s, 1800s, like 1940s, 1950s. Around that time, maybe 1960s, for like coloreds only signs and things like that. So that was speaking to or referring to Black people only. So when you would hear about the coloreds, they were talking about Black people. When you hear the term people of color, that extends out beyond just Black people to anyone basically who is not white. It would be the same or synonymous with BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. So BIPOC is probably an even greater extension, or it's more nuanced. So you're looking at the Black people, and then you're looking at Indigenous people, and then you're looking at all other people of color. So anyone who would be considered maybe a minority in our context. So that would be the distinction between colored being Black here in America, because if I go to South Africa or maybe Botswana or somewhere like that, you can have colored and that means something totally different. But here in the States, looking at colored would have been a way of saying Black during that time period. Today, we would say people of color or Black, Indigenous people of color, BIPOC. If you're speaking specifically about Black people, foundational Black Americans, or African descendants of slaves, those are all acceptable terms. We aren't walking up to people anymore and saying, oh, look at the group of colored people.
But now in South Africa, that has a little different meaning.
South Africa, colored is someone who would not identify as white, also not identify as Black African. They are more the byproduct of like the lineage of kind of like the pillage of the land, and all of the colonial things that have happened.
So
over
they're
time.
Mixed race.
A colored person is a mixed race person.
Or mixed ethnicity.
Mixed ethnicity is actually more appropriate. And a colored person can, in color, like in physical color, does not have to look colored.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've mentioned is that a colored person in South Africa can look white like me, or look darker than you.
Yeah.
So
and have hair like mine, or have hair like yours, or you know what I mean? And so it can run.
And those people can even be siblings sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, so put your questions in the chat if you're on the live. If you've got questions for us, we've got
Jeremy in here with fire.
Has Monique repented of putting pineapple on her pizza yet?
That is from the Lord himself.
That's an old running joke.
It is. Pineapple, definitely. Hey, Jeremy, we haven't seen you in a minute. It's good to see you, or see you here online. Yes, pineapple belongs on pizza. Pineapple and ham, Canadian bacon, however you want to call it. It goes on pizza, and that is how you know you are truly sanctified, redeemed, and filled with the Holy Ghost. Oh, won't he do it? Yes.
Okay. All right, put your questions in the chat. All right, let's do another one that somebody emailed in this week. All right, this is from Stephanie. Are you ready?
I am.
I don't know if you're ready.
I am.
I think I might be having an allergic reaction to something. If somebody can get me some Benadryl.
This is an impromptu.
Yeah, I'm really suffering right now.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. Just in case should we just extend our hand?
Yeah. I don't know if you can text Abby and maybe have her give me some Benadryl. So here's the question is, a lot of my family members and friends claim to be Christians. Some of them are saved, but they don't attend church. All of them have an excuse, and some of them even admit it's not a valid excuse. Mm-hmm. Will Christians be punished or not go to heaven for not going to church? I'm curious what thoughts you have.
So I literally just had this same conversation, like just a little over 24 hours ago with a friend. And I think it's a very interesting question. I think that there are many, I know a few people who say, well, I pray or I worship on my own, or
I just don't like
I
structured
don't.
religion, or I don't like structured meetings.
No, I think, yeah. Well, no, I don't think that my friends have gone that far. I think they're just like, church is this, it's abusive, it's
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, and so they feel like they don't need to go to church. Biblically, I was asked biblically, how do you respond to that? And I thought it was a very provocative question, and I don't know that I've really thought about like, how would I respond to this biblically? I think so. What I went to was the way that Christians are called to participate just from the New Testament. And so not, forsaking the assembly of yourself together, coming and doing community together, that we are meant to hear the word, that we are, meant to worship together, that, or even something like communion. Communion wasn't just something that was willy-nilly just.
You mean like the Lord's Supper?
The Lord's Supper.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It wasn't just willy-nilly, taken how they, however they want to take it, or, I'm going to give you some and you give me some. We're going to have it Skittles and Coke. And no, communion, the Lord's Supper had a very distinct way of being served and received and all of that. And so those were the things that I talked about. But I also thought about the fact of like, God must be worshiped the correct way. And I think scripture lays that out for us. And so when we think about worshiping the correct God correctly, I think in the New Testament, we see precedent for worshiping God inside of community and inside of, a house of worship or a communal institution.
Yeah, I think the way that I think about this question is that let's imagine the closest thing I've been able to come up with, the analogy wise for our relationship with the Lord is that if it's a relationship, think of your spouse or think of your closest friend. If you say that you have a relationship with the Lord and yet you don't know that person's birthday, or you don't know anything about them or their favorite color, or what restaurant they like to go to, or you don't talk to them, like I'm going to start to question whether or not you actually have a relationship with this person. And so to me, the analogy that we see in Ephesians chapter 6 between Jesus and the church is the bride and the bridegroom. And so you can't say that you love Jesus if you hate his bride. That doesn't go together. Like you can't think like that. So if you're going to say that you are a Christian and that you follow Jesus, but you want nothing to do with his people, then I'm going to question, whether or not you truly have a relationship with Jesus. Because that, if you say, I have a relationship, I'm married to my husband, but we don't talk, and we never talk to each other, we never go out to dinner together, we don't help each other, then I'm going to question whether or not you actually have a relationship with your spouse. So to me, the question as it's framed of, will the person go to heaven or be punished for not going to church? To me, the question that needs to be asked is the relationship question. It's like saying, well, if I'm in a relationship with this person, you might end up getting divorced if you're completely negligent in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I wrestle with the framing of the question because it's kind of relating to it in terms of rewards and punishments rather than relationship.
Yes. Yeah. Because
because I don't stay in relationship with my husband based on rewards and punishments.
Yeah.
That's not how we relate to each other.
But you guys do have a covenant, and there are stipulations in the covenant.
Yeah. And
but that also, I was going to say that also, though, doesn't mean that your marriage must be based on works, just like our salvation isn't based on the work of going to church.
Right. Exactly.
But our salvation is based on a covenant relationship. So how are we participating with the covenant? How are we participating with what, is laid out in the New Testament?
Okay, Haley's got a question here. She says on YouTube, I've noticed that since we have begun to focus heavily on God being all-loving, which of course I agree with this attribute, and we exclude any wrath or judgment from the view we have of God. So how do you see Christians talking about hell in today's world and future when we are doing evangelism and apologetic ministry? I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but I do think that this question about the attributes of God, we have to be very careful about not dividing God according to his attributes. The attributes are descriptions of who he is. I think this is called the doctrine of the simplicity of God, but I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since I've taught theology proper. But we have to be careful about putting any one attribute of God over and above the others that ends up kind of dividing the nature of God. And yet at the same time, it is interesting to notice and reflect on, and I'm not 100% sure what this means, but that the holiness of God is the only attribute that's described to what I call the third power, is that he's holy, holy, holy. That's what I was going to say. It says it multiple times in Scripture, holy, holy, holy. It never says of God, love, 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 or justice, justice, justice. And so we have to be careful about front-loading the attribute of love and then reading the other attributes through that lens. That would seem to be a heretical view of looking at God. So those are some thoughts along that line. It could be the aseity of God. You could be right about that, Elaine.
I think that in regards to, she says, so how do you see Christians talking about hell in today's world and future? Yeah. I have not seen a lot of conversation about hell.
I think we avoid it. I think a lot of pastors avoid it.
Right. But I do think that we see it in the scriptures and we shouldn't just simply avoid, certain pieces. But I wonder if because of the seeker-friendly movement and more of progressive Christianity coming into so many churches, is there a thought that we shouldn't talk about these things, or do some churches just simply not believe in hell overall?
I think it's a topic that a lot of people avoid. And, when was the last time you heard an evangelism in an evangelistic context where hell was one of the things that, is appealed to? I think Ray Comfort, and I'm not here to be an apologist for Ray Comfort, but he is one of the few kind of larger names that is not afraid to talk about hell as part of his evangelism strategy.
Never heard him.
Oh, he's got a big YouTube channel.
Oh,
he's always down here at the beach.
Really?
Yeah, Bob's seen him a couple times when he's been down there.
Doing evangelism?
Yeah, he's like an open air evangelist guy.
Is he like Turn to Burn?
Not quite that level, but he's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
About things.
Is he biblically orthodox?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just. Who knows him is our friend Jade Turner.
Oh.
Her father's very good friends with him and has been involved with in his ministry, and she knows him. He's Orthodox.
Okay.
He's one of the few kind of evangelists that you see is pretty fearless about talking about hell to non-Christians. Like, it's sort of topic we don't talk about in polite company. Are we still believing that? Yeah. So, all All right, let's do another question here. Can you share about the curriculum you are creating?
Whoop, whoop.
So I guess that's a good time to mention the book.
Mm-hmm.
So Bob's got that. It's available on pre-order. You want to talk about it?
No, I thought you were.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was reading a question. Go
right.
ahead.
So our book is called Walking in Unity, Biblical Answers to, they still have the wrong subtitle on Amazon, Answers to 10 Questions on Race and Racism. And it's not actually 10 questions, it's 11. But
no, it's 10. Chapter 2 is just a distinction of our model.
But it is framed as a question.
Oh, how should Christians
talk about unity?
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, player. Play on, player.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you can pre-order it now. It drops on February 6th. So Monique and I are busy at work right now getting ready to film some videos that will be aligned with the book to help small groups use the book in a small group context. Why don't you tell them about the videos?
Yeah, so we're going to shoot 11 small group conversations with 6 people around a table. It's just round table discussions talking about our experience in real life or our thoughts about, what that chapter is talking about. So for example, we have a chapter on should every church be multi-ethnic? And we're just going to sit around and share our thoughts. We're going to answer some questions about the multi-ethnic church. Should every church be multi-ethnic? What are the benefits of having a, multi-ethnic church? What are the downsides of trying to create a multi-ethnic church? We just want some real conversations to be able to answer some, real questions and to be able to help others think about this in, just the most honest way possible.
Yeah. And we're hoping to have the curriculum or those videos drop at the same time that the book comes out so that people can get the book and use it in their context and all of that in the new year. So be praying for us. We're going to be filming those in about 2 weeks, and we're flying a number of people here from all over the country. We're very grateful to our donors who gave last Giving Tuesday to make this project happen. And now here we are, and we're doing it. So.
Yes. You know what else happened last Giving Tuesday? We raised money for an app. And sorry, I know we're answering questions, but we also have to fill you in on some things, people. We raised money for a CFBU, Center for Biblical Unity app that people can access from their phone. So you can link up to our podcast, you can donate, you can read blogs, all of that right from your handheld device. And I am not tech savvy at all. So Krista took over that project. And she has completed that project. You can now go to the Apple Store or your Android store and you
see
can
the
download our app.
CFBU logo. So if you just type in Center for Biblical Unity, you're going to see a little app with our logo on it, okay? And you will be able to download it. Now, it's already in the Apple Store. I just submitted it to the Android store yesterday. So however long it takes for the good people at Android to approve it for their store, it will be there soon. But you can get it on your iPad, your phone, and it's a great aggregator for all of our podcasts across all our platforms, plus our blog and getting connected to book groups and classes and all of that. So if you go on the website and just click under, I think if you go to centerforbiblicalunity.com/mobile app, you can find a link to it if you can't find it in the store.
So
but the links to the Android store don't go anywhere yet. So only the Apple link works.
Big thanks to you, Krista, for handling that. We also worked with a volunteer, Amanda Jones, and just want to say thank you to you both for all of the time.
We started it in January.
We
started it in January. Now I'm like, God willing, I'm gonna get it up before the next Giving Tuesday. This is the goal.
Yes. So there's a question on Facebook from Jane.
Yeah, I wanted to do that one.
She said, I know. That's why we're going to answer it. See, I know you.
Yeah.
Krista, answering a question.
Yeah.
Do you memorize scripture? If so, how do you suggest is the best way to memorize it?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Jane. So I have a whole podcast about this I did with my friend Amy Hall. If you go on Theology Mom channel and you go back to the end of July, I think it was the last week of July, Amy Hall and I did a whole podcast about that. And she kind of walks you through her plan of how she's been doing it. She's been memorizing scripture for, I don't know, several years
whole
now.
Books.
Yeah, whole books.
Yeah.
Now, I have to tell you, I really want to do this, and I have not gotten into it yet, but I really need to. I want to. I think Amy persuaded me of the usefulness of it. And so this is an area that I need to grow in and am wanting to do. So that is a great place to start. So you can check out that podcast. Maybe the moderators can put a link to it in the chat for you.
So I actually had a conversation with Amy Hall and Elizabeth Urbanovitz from Foundation Worldview. And I think Elizabeth was taking us to the airport. And I didn't realize that memorizing whole books of the Bible was a thing. You guys, I'm so behind. And so they talked about the way that they do it. And I don't have full chunks of the Bible memorized, but man, it is a goal. I feel like it's such a goal, especially the book of Ephesians. And so what I've been doing is really just reading and reading and reading over and over and over again.
Yeah, you've been doing that a lot this year.
Just really trying to dig into to know what the word of God says, to have it in my heart, not just in my mind. I listen to it when I drive, when I'm walking. I just kind of have it on repeat. And in addition to that, though, writing questions. So I still I've read through Ephesians. I don't know how many times. And, we have complete talks out of the book of Ephesians. But still just finding questions every time I read, I wonder what this means. Oh, I haven't thought about that. Oh, I wonder how that shows up this way, or, what was meant by that. But yeah, as far as memorizing goes, I have just been taking small chunks and, just reading it and rereading it and trying to get that into my heart. It reminds me of being a kid. Did you ever do poetry contests or spoken oratory contests in school?
No, we never did anything like that.
Oh my gosh, I used to.
We had
love
other
it.
kind of things. We had writing and printing, penmanship, kind of things and competitions. But yeah, no.
Why the book of Ephesians, Jane asks, is the book of Ephesians for me is because for so long I didn't understand God's model for family. And I think that the book of Ephesians really lays it out very nicely that it is to his good pleasure to adopt us, that the dividing wall of hostility has been torn down, that we are brothers and sisters. And then how, when you go over to Ephesians 4, how do we participate with one another? Then you see, how are husbands and wives supposed to treat each other, and how are, parents and kids supposed to act toward each other. So to me, it's just a big book of family that I really appreciate. And I think based on my background, that the book of Ephesians has really been helpful to help counteract or counterbalance some of that.
It was pretty critical in your journey. I love it. The comments you guys are making about the podcast I did with Amy Hall. Kristen says, Amy Hall inspired me. I almost have all of Colossians.
That's amazing.
And also so much opportunity to share passages about who Jesus is. It feels so good. And then Jeremy said, oh yeah, thanks for the video about memorization. I'm in the process of memorizing Jude. That's so great. I'm going to try to remember to reach out to Amy and let her know what inspiration she gave you guys. That'll really encourage her.
Jude is my book. When he be talking about snatch them, I'll be like, yes, snatch them. Yes, the book of Jude.
All right, now
it might be out of context, but still.
Jeremy also had a question a little earlier, Bob, if you want to scroll up. He says, do you have any thoughts about near-death experiences? Do you think they involve real encounters with Christ, or are they tricks from Satan?
I've seen so much
Or
posted on that recently.
are they other physiological phenomenon that we don't understand? Oh, well, okay. So a resource to think about. Gary Habermas and J.P. Moreland wrote a book maybe 25 or close to 30 years ago called, I think it's called Immortality. I can see the cover. I have it in my library. And Dr. Habermas and Dr. Moreland talk about near-death experiences.
Beyond Death?
Maybe they released it under a new title. Yeah, it's this one. It's this blue one is the old one, but maybe they re-released it under a new title. And they really try to help sift through near-death experiences. And they kind of see them as part of a case making that naturalism is not all that there is. Yeah. And that these near-death experiences at least give us evidence that the natural world is not all that there is. I think that whether or not all near-death experiences are from God, I'm a skeptic of that. I think that could be possible that some of them are. I think some of them could be deceptive, and I think some of them could also be physiological. How to weigh that out, I'm not exactly sure. But I do think we're going to start hearing more and more claims as psychedelic adventures with psychedelic drugs and as a gateway to spiritualism continue to grow. I think we're going to see more and more reports of the spirit realm, and we're going to have more and more gateways to think about. So I don't know. That's a resource to commend to you. If that is still on the stream, you might want to add something. So, all right.
Future said Monique is always going to look for an opportunity to snatch them. Pray from my heart. 'Cause it's true. It's so true. Yes. All right. You want to do another one?
Yeah. Okay. So these are from Elaine. She had 45 questions.
We love Elaine.
She sent them in this week.
She was like, I am not missing my opportunity, people.
So, all right, I'm going to pick one.
One? Well, don't do Elaine like that.
Well, we're not going to have time to go through.
She says, I got more.
I'm sure she does.
Go ahead.
All right, let me pick one.
I got you, Elaine.
Hobbies. Do you have any hobbies, or do you not have time?
Sadly, I don't have time. If I did, it would be dancing. And I've thought about taking like a Saturday morning dance class. Unfortunately, I'm not here most Saturday mornings. And when I am here, I would rather clean on a Saturday morning. I love to clean.
Now, when you first came, that was something you were.
When I first came, I took a dance class. Yeah,
the community college.
But so dancing, writing. I would love to start writing poetry again.
Can we start the public campaign for Monique to start writing spoken word poetry?
I love writing spoken word.
Can we start bombarding her with that idea? I've been trying to work on that for several years to do some spoken word poetry related to unity. I can't get on board with it.
Gosh, another thing as a hobby is, you know what I would love to do that I have never said like publicly, like open before people? I would love to take a like singing class. I don't know, like not a class, but like not choir or chorale, but like to have a vocal coach. That, because I do love to sing. Like I've always loved to sing, but I've never actually like done a vocal coach. You know what I mean? Like,
you have a
somebody
voice
to just bring me, like, I'm not trying to be Whitney Houston. I just would like to, make sure that everything that I'm carrying is going the same direction. So yeah, I think those are my hobbies that I have right now.
Let me do another question from Elaine.
What are your hobbies?
Oh, my hobbies?
Bossing me around.
Bossing Monique around.
It's a hobby.
Making videos on YouTube.
Dude, if she could do a video or two a day, she would be the happiest she's ever been. Her hobby is to teach.
Yeah.
And she wants to teach whether you want to learn or not.
Yeah. Some days Monique will be like, don't give me a lesson right now. I don't want to learn anything. Just tell me the answer. Well, I did mixed martial arts for about 12 years. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed that. But it was when I was young and in my 30s. Now that I'm in my 50s, that doesn't work so well. I really should get some other hobbies. I'd probably live a more balanced life if I did. But it's something that I to be honest, I just, between working on my doctoral program and doing CFBU full time and traveling and speaking, I just don't have any hobbies in my mind. I think things I would like to do. If I could have somebody come over to my house like every weekend and help me and like in real time teach me how to garden, I think I'd really enjoy that. Like, I would really love to have a garden, but I need somebody to do it with me. Like, that would come over on Saturday mornings and like spend 2 or 3 hours with me in the yard doing it with me and like helping me learn.
Well, I mean, okay, we could okay, so.
Uh-oh.
I haven't talked about this publicly either, but I started gardening. Well, not really gardening. So it's like gardening-esque because I don't like dirt.
I wonder if Elisa's available.
There with my life. I enjoy cooking. But okay, so here's my gardening situation. You know about Sweetie and the Girls?
Yeah.
So Sweetie and the Girls are my little group of sweet potatoes that I'm growing. And it started from one sweet potato and her name is Sweetie. But then she grew all of these different shoots. So then I planted those as well. And those are her girls. They're like a little musical group. You can join me with Sweetie and the Girls.
Elaine, do you have any interest in moving to LA?
Well, never mind then. You can't have none of my sweet potatoes.
I need an experienced person. Like somebody who knows what they're doing.
Sweetie hasn't died.
Okay.
It's kind of like raising kids. You have one, you keep the rest going.
Speaking of Elisa, we're seeing her this weekend.
This one. Okay.
We're going to be in Nashville. If you haven't yet bought your tickets, make a plan, make a way.
We have to tell them where we're going to be, not just in Nashville. We're going to be at the Unshaken Conference at Brentwood Baptist Church in Brentwood, Tennessee, which is probably 30 minutes outside of Nashville proper. Lovely area. And we are going to have a table there. We're not doing a meet and greet or anything like that, but we are going to have a table and enjoy our time.
Yeah, we couldn't
there.
find a location. For the meetup, but we will be there. So come by our table, and
you're going to go to the Grand Ole Opry, aren't we?
I know. I'm very excited.
Ooh, yes. Y'all pray for me, honey, because this is going to be a cultural moment. This is going to be a shift in the atmosphere for sure. Yes. I have never been to the Grand Ole Opry, but you know who I started listening to a couple of days ago? Is this guy named Chris Stapleton.
Uh-huh.
And he sings about Tennessee whiskey.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a good song. Yeah, that's a good one.
We're going to hear Jamie Johnson. He's very similar to Chris Stapleton.
Yes.
He's the guy that sings that song. We always listen to it in the car together when we're in the South. Has the word color in it. About seeing the world in color. But it's escaping me right now. But we're going to see Jamie Johnson.
Okay.
I hope he doesn't cancel.
No, we're not doing that. It's going to be so good.
Yeah. So
Jeremy asked, what musicals do I like? Do I enjoy musicals? I do. I love musicals. And so I actually just watched West Side Story with my nephew today. And then oh my gosh, Hamilton. Love Hamilton. Chicago, Newsies, The Lion King, Wicked. Like, I could go on and on. I do enjoy a good musical. I actually sat on the front row when Lion King came out, and I watched Lion King at the Hollywood Pantages. I had a friend.
And the live action one came out?
Yeah. And they're going to actually bring it back to Santa Ana, and I would love to go when it comes out. I think it's next year. Will Petty Mo be in Nashville?
No. Not taking that puppet all the way to Nashville.
First of all, Petty Mo is always with us, even in spirit, and she does not appreciate your tone right now. Petty Mo may make an appearance in Nashville.
Petty
Not
Mo
really
rides
sure.
shotgun. No.
Yeah. Yes. Petty Mo always rides shotgun. Petty Mo is always present. Yes.
Petty Mo is always with us.
Yeah. People actually came up and took pictures with Petty Mo in South Carolina at SES. Yeah, Petty Mo. I'm telling you. Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
I've always wanted to go to the Grand Ole Opry. Do a live stream of that.
We could.
So Monique is...
I want Petty Mo's autograph.
So Monique is so kind. So talk about cross-cultural experiences. There's a few things I wanted to do that I was like, I just never thought I would be able to do. And so one of them was I really wanted to go to the Johnny Cash Museum. But ain't nobody in my family taking me on an airplane in Nashville to get me to the Johnny Cash Museum. So one time Monique, we were in Atlanta, and she said, we could extend our plane tickets by 2 days. And we could be in Nashville in 3 hours, and we could go to the Johnny Cash Museum. That was one of the most thoughtful things that anybody's ever done for me. And we had such a fun day that day. We went to the Ryman and to the Johnny Cash Museum. That was just such a nice little memory. And you're such a good sport about doing things that are just totally outside your comfort zone, just for the sake of kindness and friendship.
Look, we got to do it. Like, it's about having fun. It's about having fun and enjoying the moments that we have.
Yeah. That just meant so much to me. And then another time she was like, well, what's something else you would like to do? I said, well, someday I'd really love to go to Dollywood, but I know I'm never going to get there. It's really remote and everything. And then we had an opportunity to do something out there in Pigeon Forge, and she took me for a whole day to go to Dollywood, and we got to do whatever. And that was just such a fun memory. And so it's like the thoughtfulness of those little things. And she took me very early on. She took me to the Eric Church concert.
Y'all, the Eric Church. You talk about, okay, now here's some cross-cultural mess. I call it what it is. This is a mess. So Eric Church, he's starting now. It was for her birthday.
Yeah.
And I remember I wrote your card, and I made like little graphics. So I had something with like air or like wind, air, and then I don't know. It was a whole bunch of things, but it ended with church. And she finally put it together, Eric Church. But what about Eric Church? And so we finally understand we're going to the Eric Church concert. We get here, y'all. First of all, I was the only Black person, I think, in the building. It's like thousands of people. Honey, I am sticking out like a little piece of pepper. I was like, what is happening?
Urban hillbillies.
And then all of a sudden, the lights go way down and people take off their boot. And they start waving their boot in the air. Honey, do you know how much I paid for these shoes to be this cute? I'm not taking that off. Yeah, people just waving their little boots in the air.
It's in one of the songs. Is these boots. So people took off their boots and they started waving them.
In some cultures, they wave their boot in the air. In my culture, we wave our hands in the air like we just don't care. But I don't know what in the world. Yeah, I was just sitting there.
She's such a good sport about it, though, taking me to all these places I would probably never get to go. So I'm really excited when I asked her if she would go to the Grand Ole Opry with me next week. She was like, absolutely.
Yeah, we are definitely going. And eventually, we're a
90s buddy cop film, Elaine says.
I don't know what that is. Okay, so here is... No, Haley said that. Here is what we are going to do. and I'm going to need some help. And you guys can reach out. If you guys have connections or ways and that you can think about how I can do this, she really wants to go to the Waltons Mountain
Museum.
I didn't know the Waltons were, I had never heard of the Waltons until I moved into this house. But they're a whole family. And they got grandma and grandpa and like 12 kids. And
7.
Same difference. And all these things. And so, Haley, I think the Waltons might be in West Virginia. Like, they're in West Virginia, or are they in like South Carolina?
No, I think they're technically in Virginia. They're near Charlottetown or Charlottesburg. I don't know. But Charlottesville, yeah.
Either way, this is where I must get her. Yes. So if you guys have any ideas,
a speaking engagement to get us near.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Vicinity.
But yeah. So this is just our good night, John Boy.
Yeah. Good night, Mary Ellen.
Moonshine selling sisters, y'all don't. Quinta, that's wrong. She said we moonshine selling sisters. You guys.
All right, we got one more question here.
I'm gonna leave the moonshine alone. But hey.
All right. This is from.
Where's Elaine? Elaine had 4 questions. Where's her other question?
Well, we'll come back. She can get to the back of the line since she had.
Y'all don't be doing Elaine like that.
Well, we're going to do one more, and then we'll see how the time is.
Elaine, I got your back. I'm
of
trying.
all the shenanigans.
Okay, let's go.
All right, this is from an anonymous person.
Okay.
All right. Can we be united with those who claim to follow Jesus and live in the Christian faith, united by core doctrine, but perhaps believe mistakenly, falsely, or misunderstanding the kenotic theology of form of Jesus? In other words, Christ emptying himself in a way that removes his deity. Now, this person's speaking about an error that sometimes comes up in the Bethel neo-charismatic stream. This is what this person is asking. So basically,
you will have to answer this question.
Yeah,
when I read it, I was like,
can we be in fellowship with people who believe in this particular error that circles around in some Bethel circles? So to the anonymous person, I have a whole video about this error on my YouTube channel. I think I did it in 2019, and it has Todd White in the thumbnail. And it's not the one about the fire tunnels. That's another Todd White video.
That was good fun. I remember the fire tunnels video.
But there's another one about, like, does Todd White deny the deity of Jesus or something like that? Maybe one of the moderators can find it. But it's kind of old. But I explained this problem in some detail.
You see it there?
Yeah, that's that very first one. Does Todd White deny the deity of Jesus? I'm pretty good. I remember it. The one right under it is the fire tunnels. So you can go check that out for a longer. Oh, it has almost 1,000 views. More broadly, the question really is, and this is a tricky question, because all of us have, I would assume, have a level of error in our theology, and so we don't want to.
Or room for growth.
Yeah, and so there. Yeah, that's an important point too. Is we don't want to engage in, like, there is a case to be made about core doctrines and looking at the Nicene Creed and this sort of thing, and having fellowship over these cores, and this issue of the deity of Jesus is one of those core issues. So you're asking the right question. The question is, does the person knowingly and intentionally deny core doctrine? Because I'm not sure that I really had a way of understanding and explaining the Trinity accurately until I was probably in my late 20s and had taken some doctrine classes. That didn't necessarily mean I was a heretic. It just meant I was uninformed and I had room to grow. In my opinion, and I think that, church history would have this precedent, that a true heretic is someone who knows what the Orthodox view is, but actively denies it. Okay. I'm not convinced that that's Todd White's position. And kind of the bottom line of that video, as I remember, and again, it's about 4 years ago, so I could be wrong about some of the shades of what I said there, but I don't know how much doctrine Todd White has had, like formal instruction. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's saying some things when he hasn't been properly discipled or properly catechized. And that if he had men in his life to properly teach him, or he would like to come on my channel and watch some videos, and he would understand what this error is. But this is a concern. And, but for the average Christian, if you're in a fellowship with people who hold to this error, it's tricky because they have been discipled potentially in a wrong way. And for those people, I try to make a differentiation between people who shepherd and the regular people. For me, people who shepherd and have errors, I feel like they need correction, or a stronger kind of correction. Regular people who have just been discipled by these errant shepherds, I have a lot of patience and long suffering for them because they've been improperly taught. And so I want to try to disciple them or be a voice for something different. But I try to have a lot of patience with them, pray for them, and trust the Lord to provide some kind of interruption in their thinking. I'm a little bit harsher with the overseers and the shepherds, because that's kind of the pattern that I see of Jesus, is that he's a little stronger with the teachers, but he's very patient and compassionate with the people who are under their instruction. So those are a few thoughts. Did you want to add to that?
No, Vinny, I don't.
You got nothing to say?
No, just here.
So. All right, I think we're done.
Oh, you have one more of Elaine's questions.
Okay, so pick one more Elaine question. Yeah. All right.
Elaine's good to us.
All right.
We need to be doing her right. Is doing her
so
right.
So faithful in
yes.
moderating. Okay. When you don't know something or don't know enough to formulate a view, where do you look first? A person, books, podcast land, Google?
Oh, I want to do the second question too. When I don't know something,
yeah,
I think because there was a lot I didn't know about the scriptures. I first try to look to see if there's any kind of anything I can pull from the scriptures. What truth can I pull from the scripture? What kind of principle can I pull from the scriptures? How can I think about it from the scripture first? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop at the scripture. I will also look into sociological texts and see what they say about something, or research, to see what other books have been written on it. But I first want to see, is there anything like this in the Bible? What does the Bible have to say? Is there any kind of way that I see something like this in the scripture? Just because for so long I only looked to sociological texts first. And, well, you see where that had got me. Not so well. So, yeah, I think when I don't know something, I'm definitely going to try and look in the scripture first. Now, let's say it's something that I already know is outside of Christianity, like Mormonism or critical Muslim theory, because I've been doing a lot of reading on that lately. So that I just automatically go right to the first source. I look to see, I'll look up a book on Amazon. What are the reviews? What are people saying? Do these people have any academic journal articles written that I can, read? What's really being said, and, by whom in the field? So I wouldn't need to go to the scripture first on that, because I already know what the Bible says about cults or heresies or, that kind of thing. Yeah. So what about you?
I think for me, my strategy is always if there's something I want to know, I go to Google and I start looking around. Like, is there a video or a short article? Like, I look for, and I think I outlined my strategy in a podcast I did earlier this year called "Discipling Yourself While You're Discipling Your Children," something to that effect. But really, it's principles for everyone. It's not just for parents. But toward the end of that, I kind of outlined my strategy in the last third of that teaching. So the first thing I do is I look for a short article or a short video, like 10 minutes or less on a topic, just so that I can usually orient myself to some of the vocabulary and major ideas. And then if I want to go deeper than that, then I look for a longer video or a long form article. And then if I want to go deeper than that, then I start looking for books. So most of the content that I digest is because I get so tired of staring at screens all day. Most of the content when I'm researching something, I start with podcasts or videos and then I just listen to them. I don't watch them. And I do a lot of that at night when I'm getting ready to go to sleep. So
Y'all, when we travel, friends, family, brothers and sisters, when we travel to help save on costs, whether we're paying for it or somebody's brought us in and they're paying for it, there's really no need for us to get 2 hotel rooms. So we just get like 1 hotel room with 2 queen beds. But before she goes to sleep, she got to turn on her podcast. So people, I can talk about anything basically because you got to listen to the podcast. And then sometimes I'll just have to wake her up and be like, can you just turn the podcast down a little bit? Like, it's 3:00 in the morning and we still talking about this. Can we,
I have insomnia issues.
that loop needs to go away because we can't just, yeah. So,
but I'm always like trying to get in content as we're driving or traveling or whatever. And so the primary way I do that is through podcasts. So that's kind of how I do things.
I want to do the second question.
Oh, I thought we were done.
No, we're not.
Okay.
As you consider young people in the U.S. a modern culture, if you could hack their brain and install a few basic truths or principles, what would you give them? Why don't you go first?
Well, first we have to talk about the category fallacy of the mind-body problem here.
I ain't gonna come for you, and I'm just gonna sit back and I'm just gonna be like, go ahead.
JP Moreland has a whole book about it. So we don't hack brains. We don't think in our brains. We think in our minds. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is that the biggest challenge today, I think, it just is a most fundamental thing, is a lot of young people just don't believe that objective truth is a thing. And so it's really hard to get a conversation off the ground about whether or not a worldview is even true if the person has no concept of truth being objective. So a certain person that I used to talk to a lot about race issues used to believe that almost all truth was relative according to culture.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. And this person it was a little bit of a road we had to walk, that there were certain truths that were true for all people in all times and all places. So that's a big one. The other one is that I think that we're going to see increasing problems with, because of the internet, is and also the rise of AI. It's going to make it harder and harder for young people to really know who's telling the truth. And because there's so much information out there to sift through, it's really hard to know who's even telling the truth. I think, to me, those are 2 of the big issues. What about you?
2 things. I think if I could just put things in their mind, I would impart the reality of identity, that they are created with a distinct identity that is given to them by God, regardless of what the culture says. Right now, the culture is so loud that it just, and our kids have such access to everything.
Everything all at once.
All at once, that it just inundates them, and then it confuses them and it overwhelms them.
Yeah.
And many of them just kind of shut down, and they just accept whatever is spoken over them about them, or whatever they're told they should be. And I think if I could impart anything to them, it would be just the truth of identity.
Yeah.
And then the truth of the reality of God, that God is real. And because then we can have conversations from there. Well, if God is real, how do you think that impacts your life? How should it impact your life? Does it impact your life at all? Is your life any different if God was completely myth or if he's completely real? And should there be a distinction?
Our last thing I want to make sure to mention tonight is that we are coming to the Fort Worth area in a few weeks. There's going to be a meetup and an event on November the 12th. You can get all of the details on our website on the events page. We are going to have a meetup, which is always big fun. So our other meetups have been on one side of the Dallas area, more on the eastern side. This is going to be more on the Fort Worth side. So if you haven't been able, like one of our meetups, there was an ice storm that night. And a lot of people didn't get to come because of the ice storm. It was all the way on the other side of Dallas. I have no recollection
of this. But
oh, okay. You don't? Oh, no, I remember. So
I do remember the ice storm. But some people came all the way from Houston.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you want to come hang out with us, it's going to be a whole afternoon, Sunday afternoon. The meetup will be at 3, and then the doors open at 5:30, and the event starts at 6. So it'll go from 6 to 8. So it'll be a whole thing. It's all free. So if you want to come hang out with us on Sunday, November the 12th, there'll be a meetup and then an event right afterward. So come join the fun. Yeah, Laura says the one with the ice storm, that was at her house.
Yeah.
So, all right. We made it.
We did. Episode 163 in the book. You guys, thank you so much for being with us and being on this journey with us and sharing your Saturday night with us. We are so grateful for you. Krista want to hang out at Dollywood. I want to go and hang out
at the meetup.
Oh, that's funny.
Thanks for the whole season. Laura finally donated the coat that was left behind at her house 2 years ago.
Funny. You guys, thank you so much. We will see you in January, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
January, we'll kick it off again.
Season 6.
Yes, and I believe our first guest of season 6 is going to be Katie Faust.
I think so.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about being a conservative, living in a blue state, blue city.
Yeah, how to raise conservative kids in a very liberal city. All right, you guys, have a good night. Happy holiday season. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and
New Year's.
Yeah, all of that. We look forward to seeing you in 2024. God
Be sure
willing.
to watch for our Giving Tuesday campaign. We've got some really exciting things planned and projects for 2024. We're just so thankful for all of your support and what we've been able to do in 2023 because of the campaign last year. Go look for the app, watch for our curriculum that's coming. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.
God bless.